I am in the mood to do a little bit of a mood reading type of video. Low-key, I'm kind of surprised that I'm not coming to you guys with this update with tears in my eyes. Even though I knew what was coming, the ending still hurt me. Hey friends, and welcome back to the channel. I am in the mood to do a little bit of a mood reading type of video. So as you can see by the title, I am basically reading whatever the hell I want. I first got this idea from Ellen Catherine, specifically the title, but I've just been in a mood to just like mood read and not like do anything like related to like needing to get this specific type of book done or this one or this one. Because also, I'm gonna be honest, I have not read for the last couple of days. I'm recording this on, what is it, March 29th and such, so it's like near the end of March into like April time as well too. And I'm not gonna lie, I have also not read any of the March books on my TBR. The only one that I'm in the middle of or starting and such, and the first one that we're going to be having in this video is The Winners by Fredrik Backman. I've only made it to chapter 16, I believe. Yeah, it's chapter 16, which is page 87 within the book itself. Not that far in, as you can see. And I'll get into a little bit of this later, but the reason why is because for my March TBR, I was not feeling any of the books that I chose for it or that the TBR cards chose for me. So I think I probably won't do that for monthly TBR videos. I might do it where TBR cards choose the books that I read for the week. But going into the first book that is going to be featured in the vlog, like I said, is The Winners by Fredrik Backman. It's still a little bit on the chilly side, so I want to read this, and I think I've left enough time in order to really digest this book. It's fairly long. I don't know how many pages of story there actually is, and I low-key also don't want to like, oh, it's 670 pages. So, because I just flipped to the acknowledgements to see what page it is. So it's like close to 700 pages. Roughly-esque, and I think I've only made it maybe like 10, maybe 15% in. I haven't really made it that far in, but when I was first reading this, I teared up at something that happened because of what happened in the last two books. And I do want to take my time with this, but also I want to enjoy it and understand it and just really kind of sit with these characters, because this is the last time we're going to see these characters do their thing, and this is going to be heartbreaking. I absolutely know it. Every time I've seen somebody read The Winners, they are always sobbing and crying, and something got foreshadowed in the beginning of the book, because if you guys don't know, what Fredrik Backman likes to do, he likes to do a little bit of like tells you what's gonna happen in the beginning, and then it's being like, now here's where we got, like starting from where it started and then going on to where we started in the beginning, if that makes any sense. So this is obviously going to be a tough read, but I know I need it because I have been craving tough reads for a long time, and I am just like overall feeling this, you know? But that's the first book that's going to be in the vlog. I have my April TBR and such. You guys will be seeing this after I choose my April TBR, but I have my stack for my April TBR except for one, which is going to be in a video next week as of filming and also as of posting as well too. But I'm not going to tell you which one I'm going to pick up next or like which ones I have in mind for the week. I'm starting this on a Sunday, so this might take up the majority of my week, but also I hope it doesn't. Not because I'm not liking this book. I'm absolutely loving it and I'm relishing in it and trying to like completely just like feel it and understand these characters and to know that we are going to be leaving them in a situation or leaving them off with either good or bad, and that overall scares me. But it's like almost 11 and such. I'm going to read a couple of chapters probably with you guys. I'll do a halfway check-in, and then we will more than likely finish The Winners together, because I will more than likely be crying, because book 1 and 2 of this trilogy did not get me to cry, but I know 100% that this one is going to make me cry. So let's get into it. surprised that I'm not coming to you guys with this update with tears in my eyes, because I have officially made it 50% into The Winners by Fredrik Backman. I am loving this, but also simultaneously hurting at the same time as I am reading this. I've mostly been listening to this on audiobook. I did a little bit of immersive reading, but then I kind of just decided to do other things while I was listening to this. And from where we are at, there's something about his writing that literally tears me apart, but also puts me back together. Let me see if I can find this quote. There's this one quote I'm trying to remember. It's him. It's basically a description of the environment out here, but I cannot remember what it is off the top of my head. Let me see where it is. I really wish I was paying attention to what chapter I heard this in, but I cannot remember which one it is off the top of my head. Maybe it's here, actually. Oh my god, I literally can't find it. There's something about being back in these characters' lives and being back within this story that is giving me so much love and appreciation, but also a lot of hatred towards growing up in a small town, because my hometown was and isn't as crazy as Beartown is, along with Hyed, but there's just something about with their rivalry and with how much ice hockey divides them and how much ice hockey controls this town. It's crazy to me that so many people are so controlled by this one sport that people will die for it in a way. And we have had some pretty gnarly deaths. We are at the funeral, I believe. Yeah, we're at the funeral of a character that I have loved since the beginning of the trilogy, which I had a feeling that something was going to happen to her, and I am glad it happened the way that it did, because she went out on her own terms, but it still hurt me to read that she had decided to pass on, pretty much. And it has now led to just so many things happening, not just within Beartown, but also in Hyed as well. People are coming back because of the funeral as well. And even though I'm 50% in, I still have so much more to go of this story, and it will more than likely make me sob. I'm gonna try and get all of my reactions into here, especially near the end, because it is a book that has thrown me for an emotional roller coaster, and I have no doubt that it will 100% throw me for even more of an emotional roller coaster. And I 100% feel so much from his writing that it's almost kind of hard to describe what his writing elicits out of me. There are some characters, even the ones that I hate, I can relate to in not a huge way, but I can relate to their thinking and how they would think that what they're thinking is okay, when in reality it's not a lot of the time, especially now that we've gotten some POVs of some people who live in Hyed and Beartown do not like each other because of their ice hockey feud. There has been fights over this with young kids, and kids almost fearing for their life because of how much ice hockey means to certain people within this town, and all because of the event that happened in the first book is how we got here. But at the same time, I 100% think that no matter what happens in these last, I don't even know how many more chapters there are. I haven't even looked. I just know that I'm going to need some time to 100% decompress, because I will be just in awe of what Fredrik decides to do with these characters, how he decides that they should have happy endings or not have happy endings. And mostly I'm saying this because in the beginning we know of a character's certain fate that I have loved ever since the beginning, because he has just been so sweet and so kind to others, and he has been through the ringer, not just emotionally but also physically as well. And it's something that not a lot of people can can get. And it's something that I'm just like, oh my God, like, I just want to hug him. I want to completely hug him. And we know his fate when starting at the beginning of this book, and we're just slowly inching our way towards said fate. And I am just not ready for this. I am, but I'm also not, you know? But yeah, it's like, that's pretty much all I have to say on that. I think that's probably been the rawest I've ever been with one of these, because there's something about this book and specifically this series that almost makes me incapable of forming my thoughts because of how many thoughts it's provoking within me right now. But I hope I did my best with like conveying that it's more than likely going to be a 5-star, because the other 2 books were 5 stars. They live in my heart. I just absolutely love it, but I know that I'm going to hurt a lot when getting towards the end of this book. But that's all I have for now. I think I'll take you guys along with me when I'm reading more of it, maybe 50 pages worth that I have left, because I will more than likely be sobbing my eyes out depending on what exactly happens in this novel. So I will see you guys when I am finishing up the winners. I have about this much left. I think I have maybe like 50 pages left, and I'm scared, but I'm also curious to see where this journey is going to end. No.
feel like I can't even speak right now. I knew this book was gonna break me, but it's also healed me in so many ways. Well, I'm gonna cry my eyes out for a little bit longer, and I will come back to tell you what my full thoughts are on the winners.
Okay, friends, I have come back a little bit more composed. It's only been maybe like 30 minutes or so since I finished up reading The Winners by Fredrik Backman. 5-star, probably a 6-star at this point. I knew that this book was gonna break me, but it also healed me at the exact same time. And there's so much I want to say, but a lot of it really dives into like the spoiler type of territory, so I'm not really gonna get into that too much. But I'll just kind of start from where I thought of the structure. I'll kind of start with the structure of the book. The beginning, like all of the Beartown trilogies and all of, from what I know of Fredrik Backman's stories, he tells you the end and then starts from the beginning and kind of tells you how we got here, essentially. Like a, yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got into this situation. Let's rewind type of thing. And even though I knew what was coming, the ending still hurt me, but it didn't hurt me as much as I thought it was going to. I mean, it still hurt me because a character that I really, really loved lost his life in a really, really unfortunate way because of the consequences of so many different people's actions and how we got there in the first place and how much evil has tainted so many people, not just in Beartown, but also within Hyed. And I'll kind of just like say, if you do trigger easily, you need to read this series in or like a good mindset, and it's okay to take breaks after each of the books has finished up. When I first read Beartown, I read that back in November, and I had to take a break before starting Us Against You. Read Us Against You in January, absolutely loved it, and had to take a break from doing that. And I only went into this knowing that I was going to be comfortable with seeing our characters' stories end and understanding exactly how they were going to just like go into this world. And there's one quote in here that just made me just so emotional, and it just made me, and there's so many quotes within this book, it's amazing. I want to reread this series one day after I've had some time away from it, just to know if I really truly love these books. And one of the first quotes I have on here is, all children are victims of their parents' childhoods because all adults try to give their kids what they themselves enjoyed or lacked. In the end, everything is either a revolt against the adults we encountered or an attempt to copy them. That's why someone who hated their own childhood often has greater empathy than someone who loves theirs, because someone who had a hard time dreamed of other realities, but someone who had it easy can hardly imagine that things could be different. We take happiness so easily for granted if we've had it from the start. And that just really kind of describes so much of what this book series is about and what exactly these stories are trying to say. And honestly, I haven't felt this connected to a cast of characters since I read Atmosphere back in July of 2025. It is definitely a book that will remain on my soul. It will be forever imprinted on me. Every time I look at this book series, I will remember the good and the hurt and the ugly that comes with it. But it's also one of those beautiful stories that also has made me understand so many people in my life that I've encountered while also living in a small town. I've said this in the past with Us Against You, but with The Winners and this whole series of Beartown, it follows this small town that is on the brink of their entire livelihoods dying, and then something happens that changes the trajectory of so many people's lives. And it's overall just such a human book, and I never have ever felt confused when reading these books, even though you jump around from different POVs all the time. And we've gotten, in this one especially, you get introduced to way more characters than you do in the first and the second book, and it makes sense because this thing is a brick. But it's a wonderful brick. And I am still very, very pissed that one of my favorite characters is not here to see the success of so many others and so many other people who would have loved to see him shine. But Fredrik said it at the beginning of the book, which is a spoiler, so I'm not going to say anything related to that. But this is 100% a 6-star, my first 6-star of the year. So far, this is my favorite book that I've read this year, and we're in the beginning of April as of recording this, and I just love this series so much, and this series has made me fall in love with Fredrik's writing, kind of the same way that Taylor Jenkins Reid has for me. Like, him and Taylor are some of the only two authors that I can think of that went into the lives of all of the characters that they have written and could like take what they were from memory, you know? And no other author that I have read has been able to do that, if that makes any sense. Not even Stephen King, and I love Stephen King, and honestly, Fredrik might be up there for my favorite authors of all time. But that was, of course, the winners. I highly, highly recommend that you read the Beartown trilogy, but do look up the trigger warnings, and don't be afraid to take breaks after you read all of the books, or even after you read like the first book. You can take a break if you want to. If you want to read the second one and you get done with that, feel free to take a break before going into the winners, because the winners is very heavy and it can destroy you, but it can also heal you in so many ways, kind of like how I'm feeling, you know? So yeah, that is pretty much all I have to say. And honestly, unfortunately, I took so long to read this that my timing that I usually do for these videos and such is up. This is gonna be the end of the video. So thank you guys again so much for watching. I know we only read one book in here, but I hope you guys could enjoy it and just could enjoy the love of this book, because I had two other books that I wanted to get to. I wanted to get to King of Envy and Her Last Breath, but those two unfortunately could not make it in because the winners was just so heavy that it just needed to have its own thing for itself, you know, and I just absolutely love it so much. So I hope you guys aren't disappointed with it just being a one video vlog, but I really had a fun time reading this, and I really enjoyed so much of his writing, and I encourage at least everybody to try and read a Fredrik Backman book at least once in their life. They can either start with Beartown and go all in on his trauma journey, or they can do like Anxious People or A Man Called Ove, or his most recent release, which was My Friends. And experiencing his writing, I will always recommend books by him from now on. I want to read even more of his stuff because I've become so immersed in his storytelling, and his work is translated. He's not even American, he is Swedish. He is, because English is not his first language, so he's able, even with the translated work, he's able to go through so many different emotions and going through so many different characters and so many different character developments that it just feels so fucking real. But anyways, that is gonna be the end of the video. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to like and comment down below. If you don't know what to comment down below, tell me what are some of your favorite Fredrik Backman books. If you liked me, please make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications. I post every Sunday and every Wednesday. Wednesday is every other day of either, like, one week I'll have reading and content, things like that, or I will have Tomodachi Life stuff coming out as well too. But yeah, I truly hope you guys did enjoy it, and I honestly hope that you all have an amazing day, week, month, and year. See you later, friends.